We are now recording.
Okay, good morning, everyone. This meeting is being recorded so that those of you who, people who couldn't make it this morning, will be able to review this and the presentation. So let me just say welcome to National Caregivers Month. This is our time of the year. It's a real pleasure to be able to have a chance to talk to so many dedicated caregivers throughout the state. I've got a few items. The minutes from our last general meeting will be available after the meeting today. Will be sent out, and so look for those. Just a quick note, these presentations are now being recorded, so they are being archived. If you want to review them or want to share them with other members of your cohort, they are available on YouTube. Simply search for Caregiver Coalition and they should come up. So hopefully over time we'll build an archive of these so that we can continue the good educational programming that Donna Cantrell has been developing along with her team and be able to have that available as a resource for organizations and individuals around the state. Just a couple of business notes. These are items that have come across the desk here. The Benjamin Rose Institute on Aging is presenting Navigating Virtual Caregiving. That is a webinar on Thursday, December 10th from 9 to 3. For more information, the email is info@benrose.org. And for any of these items, if you want to give Nick a call, he's sending out these bulletins to the general membership. But if you didn't get them or want more info, just contact Nick. Tony Calisante at the Virginia Tech Department of Sociology is looking for spousal and partner caregivers to interview for a national study of older caregivers. Interviews will last approximately an hour and a half, and she's offering participants a $30 gift card. So if you want to pass that on to the folks you see, that is, or again, talk to Nick, he can give you further information. Jennifer Heston Mullins of the Scripps Gerontology Center at the University of Miami in Ohio is looking for caregiver families also. She wants to test a communication and care coordination resource that they're developing there. And so they're offering participants a $50 gift card. So they're upping the ante from Tony's group at Virginia Tech. Participate in both and you can start knocking out chunks of your Christmas gift list. Let's see, we've got the email for the University of Miami of Ohio is ofo.miamioh.edu. So, all right. One more item here. The George Mason Training Center is accepting registrations from nursing homes in Virginia for Project ECHO, which is an innovative COVID-19 prevention initiative. To find out more about this free training, you can contact Dr. Emily Ihara. That's I-H-A-R-A. And that her email is eihara, E-I-H-A-R-A @gmu.edu. And participating facilities will receive a $6,000 stipend upon completion of the training. So there's an opportunity to improve your staff, get a new prevention protocol in place. I'd like to just welcome Liza White, who is going to be the new Lifespan Voucher Program Coordinator, and welcome her on board. And you've got some big shoes to fill with Nick, but hopefully you can become part of this happy family of ours. Let's see. Nick, you had a couple of items for the members.
Yes. Give me 1 second here to pull up my email. Okay. AARP is holding Caring Conversations with AARP Virginia. Lily Lou and Leading Age Virginia's Melissa Andrews is giving a 30-minute discussion about, let me let some people in here, about the Dementia Friends Virginia initiative. That's going to be tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. I will be sending out the information after the meeting, so you know, for anyone who wants to sign up or wants to participate in that. George, who could not join us this morning because he has another engagement, sent me some information. Find it. Here it is. Some free caregiver resources that he provided. There are some additional resources for caregivers of persons living with memory loss that I'll be sharing as well. Riverside Center for Excellence in Aging and Lifelong Health and a nationally known researcher, Dr. Gogler of University of Minnesota, are hosting a free educational webinar in December at 2 different dates and times for your convenience. I have a flyer for that with some more information as to how, you know, what they're going to be covering. And those are my 2 announcements. Again, I'd also like to welcome Liza White, who's going to be my new the respite voucher grant coordinator, who's going to be kind of helping me and taking over some of the grant duties. So I'm very excited to have her. We're looking to ramp up outreach and engagement for the program since we are in our final year of the grant. So she's going to be very busy, probably right after the holidays. And we're planning on doing some, like we did last time with a press release, hopefully some newspapers will pick it up and maybe we can get some local news channels and radio stations to kind of let people know about the program. I do have an update on the Caregiver's Guide. I met with Emily 2 weeks ago to do final edits. She still has to get the final draft back to me. She was going to work on it while she was in between stuff for her finals in school. Hopefully, I'm going to reach out to her probably right after Thanksgiving and see how we're moving along. And then I'll do my final edit there and make sure everything's good formatting wise. And then we're going to start looking into converting it into digital format, large print format. And then I will look into getting it translated into Spanish if that's still an option or not. So we're still looking like we're going to be on track for the end of the year to get it finished. We might not be able to distribute it till the beginning of next year, which is still completely reasonable. And that's about all I have.
Okay.
Everybody.
Thanks, Nick.
I did see that Marcia and Kathy are currently joined. I don't know if they had previous engagements. I'm not sure if they have any updates that they'd like to provide.
Well, good morning, everybody. This is Marcia. both Kathy and I have the same engagement George has. So just have a few minutes. And of course, we're probably just as excited as Nick to see Liza White come on board with all of us. We do have some other new faces as well joining the DARS team. The No Wrong Door team is welcoming a new project specialist, Catherine McDonald, who comes to us from the Longevity Project, formerly the Greater Richmond Age Wave team, has a wealth of knowledge. And so we're just as excited to have her as Liza. And we also have an intern working with us who is Renisha Dennis, and she's hit the ground running doing all kinds of great work for the Division for Community Living. And so that's been wonderful. We will have a new director of administration starting later in December. And so we'll have a lot of new faces around, and that's thrilling. Some other good news on the No Wrong Door front. The No Wrong Door team received some national recognition for winning the first phase of the mental health social connectedness contest. They actually won $75,000 in this national competition, where they were one of only 2 winners in the first phase. They'll go on for the finals in January. So we're rooting them on. We're very proud of their accomplishments. And then finally, we published our 3rd series in our Promising Practice volumes, where we really showcase the work of our area agencies on aging and the work that they're doing in light of the pandemic in the communities. And so we can get that to Nick to send out to you all in a link, just so that you can, all 3 of the volumes, so you can read about the really compelling stories of resilience that are going on throughout the Commonwealth. So that's it for my updates.
Thanks, Marcia. Kathy, anything from your end of the world?
Yes, I did want to say, and I think George will be sending out this information, but there's Dr. Toni Calasanti at Virginia Tech. She's a doctor of sociology, and she is doing a study on spousal and partner caregivers of individuals with dementia. And so she is looking for couples to interview as part of her research that she's doing. It's funded by the National Institute on Aging. And so George has the information. So I'm sure he'll be sending that out along with the minutes for the meeting. So just wanted to give you a heads up in case you're interested in, or you know someone who might be interested in participating in that study. And
Thanks,
that's all I have.
Kathy. Thank you.
And our apologies, Kathy and I will have to drop off in a few minutes.
Right.
Well, I'm glad you could join us for a little bit. It's always great to have you.
Thank you, Chris.
Well, I'm going to get Donna Cantrell to introduce our speaker today, but I just want to thank Violetta Arduan for helping out to develop the program for this month. She has been a real champ participating in the education committee, and really appreciate the work she's doing. And hopefully we can get more folks, do outreach, get more folks to participate on committees. There are always opportunities. If you have the bandwidth to help out, we'd love to have you join the team. So Donna, if you want to introduce our speaker.
Okay. Hello, everybody. The Education Committee met a couple times during this quarter, and Violetta was really helpful getting us a speaker today. The speaker today is Turquoise Perrin, and she's on screen up there. She's going to be talking to us about mental health and coping during COVID-19. Turquoise is the founding therapist of Ascension Counseling Services. She has 10+ years experience in the field of counseling, working within a variety of settings. Turquoise's advanced assessment and treatment skills enhance her ability to provide therapy to individuals from various diverse backgrounds. As a Hampton Roads native, Turquoise is also knowledgeable of community resources and further provides linkages to aid individuals in achieving overall care and wellness. Turquoise prides herself on being creative and utilizing various therapy modalities to meet clients' unique needs. Welcome, Turquoise, and take it away.
Well, good morning. Thank you again for having me, you all. I must say, I'm just super excited that I've been given the opportunity to speak with you all of the Virginia Caregiver Coalition in regards to mental health and how we've all been impacted due to COVID-19. I am going to share my screen here, Nick. So I'm going to give it a whirl, and hopefully Zoom and I are going to be friendly with one another today. Let's see. No. Wait a minute. All right, Nick, let's see. Okay, there we go. Okay. There we go. Are you all seeing what I'm seeing? Great. Okay.
Yeah, we're seeing your desktop.
All right. Are you all seeing this PowerPoint, the mental health and coping during COVID-19?
Not yet.
No? Okay, Nick, I may need you. Let's see. Yeah, I promised I practiced this yesterday.
It always happens when you're under pressure, right?
Right, of course. Nick, if you would, please. Thank you, and my apologies.
No worries. Just let me know when you'd like me to advance the slide.
Okay.
Oh, I might want to share my screen. Sorry.
No worries. So while Nick is pulling that up, ultimately, we are familiar that, the pandemic has definitely impacted all of our lives, disrupting education, work, the economy, social interaction. And the impact of COVID has definitely impacted some groups more negatively than others. And the consequences are definitely more concerning for elderly, individuals with disabilities, and of course, those who are in the role of caregivers. I'll go to the next one, Nick. It is my hope that at the end of this presentation, you all will be able to identify vulnerable segments of the population whom are affected by stress, recognize the symptoms of stress related to mental health issues, determine how each identified group reacts to stressful situations, and how to locate mental and behavioral health resources that are available in the community. Okay. Now, going back to when COVID was actually given the name of COVID-19, there was immediate, fear, there was immediate anxiety of all the things that could happen. What would happen if you, contracted COVID-19? People were overwhelmed. It caused strong emotion. There was the need for social distancing. Being away from family and friends, of course, just made people feel more isolated. And it just increased overall stress and worry. Go to the next one, Nick. Now, stress is a result of the body's psychological perception of external pressure, and a physiological response to it. And when your brain perceives a threat, it signals your body to release a burst of hormones that increase your heart rate and raise your blood pressure. This fight or flight response fuels you to deal with the threat. Chronic stress occurs when constant stressors keep the body in a prolonged state of flight or fight. When this occurs, individuals experience the physical and psychological effects of stress. And this is just a visual, of what that looks like. Now, moving on, of course, the physical and emotional effects of stress, it does take effect on our body, our mind, emotions, and behavior. Body-wise, fatigue, headaches, skin irritations, as you can see, frequent infections, tight muscles, muscle twitches. In regards to emotions, irritability, depression, loss of confidence, more fussy, apprehension, alienation. In regards to our mind, constant worry, impaired judgment, muddled thinking, indecisiveness, negativity. And in regards to behavior, loss of appetite, drinking more, smoking more, restlessness, insomnia. These are some of the effects in which stress could have on our mind, body, and emotions. Now, anxiety, of course, is identified as fear, worry, apprehension. Now, fear as it relates to COVID-19 has definitely taken a toll on all of us. It's a frightening time. And now, because we are back in phase 2 and the infection rates are increasing, the number of news stories, headlines, it just has us all wondering, when is this going to end? The uncertainty of it, the uncertainty of COVID-19, it just appears to be the hardest to handle. And as a result of that, you have definitely seen an increase in anxiety as it relates to adults, children, the elderly population, caregivers. It has definitely been an increase in anxiety. Depression definitely goes hand in hand with anxiety. Being separated from our loved ones due to the need of the mandatory social distancing. This has caused a dramatic change in our habits and just in our lives in general. And it's normal to have frequent thoughts of COVID, but if it becomes more frequent and start to impact your daily life, then that's when it becomes a cause for concern. It is important to pay attention to the long symptoms or the symptoms and how long they last. There is a such thing as COVID blues, but again, if your symptoms exceed 2 weeks or more, you're constantly distracted as a result, or it's impacting your normal roles, your life work, or your family life, that is definitely something that you need to pay close attention to. People who may respond more strongly to the stress of a crisis, again, we talked about adults, we talked about children, we talked about individuals who have disabilities or developmental delays, caregivers, and people who live in group settings. Now, anxiety symptoms affect everyone differently. As you can see here, these are just a few things or how symptoms of anxiety may affect those adults. Having a tense and impending danger, panic, or doom, an increased heart rate, hyperventilating like I'm kind of doing right now because I'm super nervous, so I apologize. Sweating, trembling, feeling weak or tired, difficulty sleeping, and having difficulty controlling worry. Now, depression again too affects everyone differently with men and women. And if you'll see here, women feel anxiety and they're scared, men are more guarded. Women blame themselves for depression, men blame others. Women commonly feel sad, worthlessness, or worthless, apathetic when depressed, and men tend to feel irritable and angry. Women are most or more likely to avoid conflicts when depressed. Men are more likely to create conflicts. Women turn to food and friends to self-medicate. Men turn to alcohol, TV, sex, or sports to self-medicate. Women feel lethargic and nervous. Men feel agitated and restless. Women easily talk about their feelings of self-doubt and despair. Men hide feelings of self-doubt and despair, considering it a sign of weakness. And this just, again, kind of coincides what I mentioned about the symptoms of depression in males. Now, children, of course, are facing higher levels of anxiety and stress due to their inability to participate in their normal activities. School, sports, our little ones, they no longer have their outside outlets. And as a result of that, for me, in the field in which I work, there has definitely been an influx in the negative behaviors that are being displayed. We're seeing children that are experiencing more mood swings. They are definitely displaying symptoms of anxiety and depression. What's the next one?
Sure.
Now, again, as mentioned before, anxiety, it affects everyone different. In children, it may present as fear or worry, but it also can present as irritability and anger. In children, you can hear or they'll express that they have trouble sleeping. Physical symptoms like fatigue, headache, and stomach ache. So these are just things that we need to be mindful when we're interacting or dealing with our little ones. Next slide, Nick.
Oh, sorry.
Depression as well. Again, there has been an increase in anxiety and depression among our children. And this is due to the lack of social interaction with their peers and just their overall inability to engage in activities that they once were able to do. Our children are not adjusting that greatly to our virtual learning. And so that has definitely taken an effect on our little ones. So caregivers, just be mindful of that when dealing with our children. And these are just some of the examples of the behaviors that are often seen: loss of energy, sleeping or not sleeping enough, changes in their appetite, alcohol or drugs, social isolation, poor social performance or school performance, frequent absences from school, less attention to personal hygiene or appearance, angry outbursts, self-harm. Those are just a few. Now, when we start talking about the elderly population, and when should an older adult be concerned about anxiety? Now, for older adults, depression often goes along with anxiety, and it both can be debilitating, reducing overall health and quality of life. It is definitely important to know the signs of both anxiety and depression and to talk with a physician about any concerns. And mind you, this is the elderly population that we're speaking of. Anxiety is also strongly linked to memory. Anxiety can interfere with memory, and significant anxiety can contribute to amnesia or flashbacks of a traumatic event. Now, a number of things can contribute to an anxiety disorder: extreme stress or trauma, bereavement, alcohol, caffeine, drugs, family history of anxiety disorder, other medical or mental illnesses, and neurodegenerative disorders like Alzheimer's or other dementias. Okay. A stressful event can cause a mild brief anxiety. And according to the CDC, as you get older, your risk for severe illness from COVID-19 increases. People in their 60s or 70s are in general at higher risk for severe illnesses than people in their 50s, with those aged 85 or older being at greatest risk for severe illness from COVID-19. Facing or thinking about these situations or things can bring on severe anxiety or panic attack, but anxiety that lasts at least 6 months can get worse if not treated. let me go back one. I'm sorry, Nick. It's okay. Thank you. Now, signs of anxiety in the elderly population, again, excessive worry or fear, refusing to do routine activities, avoiding social situations, overly concerned about safety, poor sleep, hoarding, collecting, depression, and self-medication with alcohol or other central nervous system depressants. Now, for our caregivers and caring for the depressed person, the first step in helping an elderly person who may be depressed is to make sure that he or she gets a complete physical checkup. Depression may be a side effect of a pre-existing medical condition or of medication. Now, if the person or the older adult is confused or withdrawn, it is helpful for a caring family member, caregiver, or friend to accompany that person to the doctor and provide important information. The physician may refer the older adult to a psychiatrist with geriatric training or experience. Now, if the individual is reluctant to see a psychiatrist, he or she may need assurance that an evaluation is necessary to determine if treatment is needed to reduce symptoms, improve functioning, and enhance well-being. Now, again, what you see here, the most common symptoms of late life depression: persistent sadness, feeling slowed down, excessive worry about finances, frequent tearfulness, feeling worthlessness or helpless, weight changes, pacing and fidgeting, difficulty sleeping, difficulty concentrating, and physical symptoms such as pain or gastrointestinal problems. Okay. Now, when we look into treatment options could involve medication therapy, stress reduction, coping skills, and or family or other social support. Now, a mental health provider can determine what type of disorder or combination of disorder the individual has, and if any other conditions such as grief, depression, substance abuse, or dementia are present. Now, those who have never been treated, of course, should tell their provider about previous treatment. If they receive medication, they should definitely indicate what was used, the dosage, side effects, and whether the treatment was helpful or not. If the patient attended therapy, he or she should describe the type of therapy received, how many sessions, and whether or not it was helpful. Sometimes individuals may try different treatments or a combination of treatments before they find the one that works best for them. Medication is also an opportunity. You cannot cure an anxiety disorder, but you can certainly keep them under control while the person receives therapy. Now, medication must be prescribed by a physician, often psychiatrists or geriatric psychiatrists, who can also offer therapy or work as a team with psychologists, social workers, or counselors who provide therapy. So it is definitely important to have these providers to do kind of a wraparound services to make sure that each area, whether that be the mental, physical, all of that is addressed. Disability groups are also impacted by COVID. Now, these are individuals who have trouble understanding the information or practicing preventative measures such as hand washing, mask wearing, and social distancing. They may not be able to communicate symptoms of illness. People who have limited mobility and cannot avoid coming into close contact with others may be infected, such as direct support providers and family members. So, of course, we just have to be mindful of you're okay. We have to be mindful of our groups who are disabled. Which brings me along to you all as the caregivers. We hear a lot about our first responders and things that they have to do, but our caregivers definitely have a very difficult job to do. And I commend you all on what it is that you do for the population that you service. A second, I lost myself. Okay, there we go. Let me go back one, Nick, I'm sorry. Now, our caregivers provide care to people who need some degree of ongoing assistance with everyday tasks on a regular or daily basis. The recipients of care can live either in residential or institutional settings, range from children to older adults, and have chronic illnesses or disabling conditions. Now, our informal or unpaid caregiving has been associated with elevated levels of depression and anxiety, higher use of psychoactive medication, worse self-reported physical health, compromised immune function, and increased risk of early death. Now, as a caregiver, what to do if you are stressed, anxious, or depressed? Because I think sometimes we so often focus on those that we work with that we not necessarily keep in mind our own self-care. So it is definitely extremely important that you, the caregiver, manage stress, employ healthy behaviors, and seek extra support as needed for yourselves as well. Just a few rules of thumb to manage our own stress. We have to turn off CNN from time to time. CNN, MSNBC, I believe I've had every symptom of COVID and everything else if I continue watching television. So sometimes we have to walk away from the news media, the story, social media, seek out better sources, make time to unwind. I do understand the need for social distancing, but again, we have to get away from our televisions and our computers, get out, do some walking, journaling, dancing. I have become more acclimated with the Wii. I've never played it in my life. That was a children's toy, but I think I do more Wiiing than my children do now, just as an outlet for myself. And connect with others by talking with people you trust about your concerns and how you're feeling. Again, employing healthy behaviors, taking steps to protect yourself, taking deep breaths, stretching and meditating, eat foods that are safe and healthy, drinking lots of water and staying hydrated, exercise regularly, get plenty of sleep, and avoid excessive alcohol and substance use. Now, it's extremely important. I think I've kind of touched on this with all of the groups, making sure that you are seeking the help that you may need, recognizing when you may need more help. If stress or negative thoughts get in the way of your daily activities for several days in a row, talk to a therapist, social worker, or a professional counselor. Ask your doctor or your local health clinic to refer you to counselors who may offer services for free or on a sliding fee scale. Some health insurances policies may cover counseling services. Recognize and act when you may be the victim of abuse or may become abusive. Now, abusive behavior by or against caregivers can happen more often and during stressful times like COVID-19. So get help with prevention or protective resources in your state for domestic violence, child abuse, or elder abuse. I have attached some of these links, which is an anxiety test, a depression test, that you can actually kind of go up there and see where you are. I don't know if you're like me, but I'm a Google queen. So at times, and it may be at a fault, before seeking out, additional services, I'll try to self-diagnose myself, unfortunately, but here are some links that you could utilize just to see if it is necessary to take the next step and seek therapy. Again, these are some national resources, especially for our caregivers, even for ourselves and our children. I think it's extremely important to put some of these numbers on your refrigerator just as a reference tool if needed. I know a lot of the individuals that I work with are not even aware of some of these resources that are available to us. So I just think sometimes it's extremely important just to have these things or tools accessible for the individuals that we work with. Finding a healthcare provider. These are two links, but what I did not include was Psychology Today, which is another link as well. You can go in, type in your zip code, and it will bring up a whole list of providers who specialize in different modalities or different treatment methods, and you can kind of determine which one may work best for yourself or the individuals that you care for. These are the references that I use to pull together my PowerPoint. And that is good old me. So again, my name is Turquoise Rawlings Perrin. I am a licensed professional counselor here with Ascension Counseling Services. Again, like Ms. Donna mentioned, I work with children, adults, the elderly population, anxiety, depression, anger management. We facilitate groups. We are located here in Norfolk in the JNF Shopping Center area. So in the event that you do have an individual that is interested in getting a consult or even services, my contact information is also listed on the PowerPoint. I thank you again for allowing me just to kind of provide some insight as to mental health and how it is affecting our different groups during COVID-19. I urge you all just to stay safe, practice self-care, providing resources and tools, and most importantly, getting creative with the individuals that we're working with, because we are definitely in a time that we need to find some creative measures to provide healthy outlets for ourselves and those we service. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Turquoise. That was lovely. Does anybody have any comments or questions or just any general thoughts on some of what Turquoise presented?
I thought it was a terrific overview of things to look out for. It had great definitions of the behavioral problems. And I really thank you, Turquoise, for giving it to us in such a very digestible and straightforward way. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have a general comment. I have some friends that have been actually looking for counselors, and they've actually had a hard time finding ones that are available because they said that a lot of counselors are just booked up right now, or they just don't have any openings to get in to see people.
And that is very true. There has definitely been an influx. I'll be totally transparent. Between COVID-19 and election, there has been a surge of clients that have come in. What I will say is myself and colleagues, we are doing a lot of in-person sessions. However, we have definitely opened it to virtual as well. And now we do understand that we're having to work out of our non-traditional, maybe 9 to 6 window. I have a lot of colleagues that are opening to evening and even weekends. So tell them keep trying. And again, Ascension Counseling Services is here if they're in the area or they are interested in virtual. And we can definitely refer out, if we are full. There are quite a few agencies that I work with as well that could kind of step in and aid in the providing services or psychotherapy.
Cool. Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, one issue, this is Chris, one issue that has come up because of COVID and the lack of behavioral health services, especially for elders, is the federal government's inability to pass legislation to allow LPCs and counselors to become providers for Medicare.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something that, if you want to help move that legislation along, the rules have not been changed since 1989. And I think the world has changed quite a bit in that period of time. So if you want better care for better mental health care for our elders, I invite you to support the initiative to allow LPCs to become providers for Medicare. This is it's a federal issue. Talk to our state legislators about it. And it's been bouncing around for the last 10 years. And it's really time, especially seeing the need now for people to get good help. and support. It's really important that we try to push this initiative forward.
Agreed.
Hi, Turquoise. This is Moretta Copeland. I had a comment and a question, I guess. I guess it's a comment. I really appreciate you highlighting some of the behavior component regarding people with like disabilities, well, really those with IDD going through COVID. A lot of the families that I'm working with talk about that. I'm even experiencing that in my own home with my daughter and COVID, and her and I, like, we're at each other's throats a lot of times. My husband has to like referee us. But I was going to ask, are you finding that it is difficult? I found it difficult to find like counselors or mental health professionals for that particular population.
Yes. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I was going to say, so with that, do you recommend, I guess what I've done in the past is like, do you recommend maybe like people for that population, maybe using like the expressive therapies, like music and art, that type of thing? So I just wanted to know if you could kind of expand on that a bit.
Well, I will agree there is definitely a shortage in providers who work with that population, but it is one that is growing. I know a lot because it is an untargeted group. I know a lot of individuals who are seeking to start agencies that will be better able to assist the ID population. To answer your question, yes, the art therapy, music, play therapy, we are getting a lot of registered therapists in this area in particular that are awesome with working with those individuals with that diagnosis. So yes, that was more or less kind of what I expressed as far as being creative. Even non-traditional methods for ourselves to be able to better assist our individual, that we're living with or that we're working with, because of the scheduling and counselors are being filled. So no, we may not be experts, if you will, as far as art therapy and music therapy, but definitely being creative. And yes, seeking out that particular resource that could further assist the individuals or family members that you're working with. But it's coming. I will say there are quite a few providers that are definitely targeting the ID population. So it's coming. How soon it'll happen, I don't know, but it's definitely coming. We do know that it is an untapped market that, people are either familiar, maybe afraid to even work with because they are unfamiliar. So we're keeping our fingers crossed. Ms. Copeland.
Thank you.
This is Jan Russell. I'm from the ARC of Greater Prince William.
Yes, ma'am.
One of the places that you can look for resources such as that are on Wright's Law, WRIGHTSLAW.org. They have a yellow pages for kids, and it's a list of all providers who work just with people with disabilities.
Got it.
I also would like to kind of blow our own horn as the ARC. There was an article online yesterday by the Washington Post about one of our group homes. And I get very emotional about it. I still cry because it's a beautifully written article. So if you want to search on that, it was about in the time of COVID, what's happened, because we lost a caregiver.
Oh, wow.
So
I'm so sorry for your
a
loss.
beautifully written article if you have a chance.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jan.
Wow.
Okay. Any other thoughts, comments, questions for Turquoise? I'd like to just wrap up by saying thanks for joining us today. Turquoise, thank you again for a wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Donna, thank you for you and Violetta for bringing Turquoise to us. Just like to invite you to join us again in the new year. Our next meeting is Thursday, January 21st at 9:30. I hope all of you have a wonderful holiday season. It's going to be difficult this year. We won't be able to be as close to the ones we care about as in the past, but hopefully this is just 2020, and 2021 we'll get back to some sort of semblance of normal, at least be able to hold hands with each other again. So thank you all very much, and please join us. Remember, this presentation and all of our recent education programs are available on YouTube. If you need help getting a link to that, just reach out to Nick. He's been the keeper of the archives. And please share these presentations with others in your cohort. It helps us expand the mission of the coalition to provide education to caregivers and support caregivers throughout the state. And these kinds of programs are good information that it's news you can use and build community this way. So thank you all. If there's no other business, I'm going to move that we adjourn for our last meeting of 2020. And thank you all again. Have a healthy and happy holiday.
Thank you. Take care. Nice meeting you all.
Thank
Thank you again.
Thank you, Turquoise.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you, Turquoise.
Thank you. Take care.
Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good information.
Thank you.